astrologer and life coach Penny Dix, and welcome to my Facebook live stream tonight, Saturday 5th of November, where I'm going to be doing a short heads up on all the energy you need to understand for the forthcoming full moon total lunar eclipse in Taurus, and that is happening on the 8th, which is Tuesday. So what do we know about this particular full moon, and what do we know about the energy? Well, let's just kind of unpack what it's about, because the full moon itself is in Taurus and it's conjunct our planet Uranus. Now, Uranus is the planet of rebellion, the unexpected, shocks. It can also be invention, freedom, actually, and truth. I think it's super interesting that this full moon happens to fall on the day that in North America, they are holding their midterm elections. This could be super interesting. And what will it indicate with this energy? Because if you think about it, the moon is eclipsed. So this is something about feminine energy that is put in shadow, that is eclipsed. So it feels as if what's going to happen on Tuesday, and not necessarily just in America, is that we're going to get this kind of surge of almost like masculine energy that is going to block our senses or our sense of what might be intuitively right, that is indicated by the feminine. So what else is going on with this energy? Because the full moon in Taurus is opposite, naturally, the sun in Scorpio. Now, the sun is conjunct Mercury, our planet of communication. But we're in Scorpio. Scorpio can be about hidden matters, devious matters afoot, things not being quite kind of straight and above board. There's no doubt that if we just focus for a moment on the midterms in America, that there will be a lot of very critical eyes watching how that day unfolds and how the voting unfolds. But how's it going to affect you in your personal lives? Well, if you want to know exactly the area of your chart that you can most likely expect this full moon energy to play out, then go to my YouTube channel where we have my in-depth look at this full moon, and I go through each of your zodiac signs, and assuming you know your rising sign, which is also known as the ascendant, then that is the one to check out, because that will give you the area of your life that is going to mostly be under the spotlight. Now, if we come back to the event chart and we think about the world stage, first of all, I want to talk about, again, the fact that Mercury is in Scorpio. Mercury is coming up to square natal Saturn. And in fact, both Mercury and the Sun, opposite the Moon and Uranus in Taurus, are making what's known as a T-square to Saturn. Saturn is, it's a bit like Saturn is in this chariot with these horses wanting to absolutely race away. And Saturn is holding onto the reins saying, slow down, slowly, slowly. Let's just get some balance. Let's get a sense here of what is going on. That is what Saturn is trying to do. Saturn is trying to bring some kind of realistic, kind of clear almost thinking into what's going on. Because we have to also think about the fact that we've got Mars now retrograde in Gemini. And Mars is making a square. That's a hard angle to both Jupiter and Neptune that are conjunct in Pisces. So what does this mean? Well, Mars in Gemini is a little bit weighed down in Gemini because Gemini is air. Mars is fire, assertion, aggression, action. Gemini is about deep thought and just kind of thinking things through. And so you've got this Mars energy that is squaring Jupiter and Neptune. Neptune brings clouds of kind of misunderstanding and misconception. Jupiter is enlarging that. Now, this is also going to happen to do with really our finances, so that we're not going to be clear about what we've got and how much we can kind of risk with it or take steps forward with it, because it's in the second house of this chart, which is about finance. And I do think that because this full moon lunar eclipse is in Taurus, we're going to see a little bit of instability again and disruption to the general economy, certainly in Europe. And I also think that in the United States, because they're having these midterm elections, and this eclipse for the United States happens early in the morning, like round about 5 or 6 in the morning, which I think is quite interesting because it kind of sets the scene for what may or could unfold as the day goes on. So yes, I do think it's about economy in some ways, this eclipse. I think it's about steering a steady course, no knee-jerk decisions. This is a time for prudence. We just have to look at where Pluto is. Pluto, interestingly, in Capricorn, now direct. Pluto, remember, is our planet of transformation. And Pluto is making what's known as a sextile to Jupiter. So there's this kind of other energy that's behind all the kind of overt drama that this particular full moon lunar eclipse could bring up. And it's kind of like it's saying, it's okay. What's happening is actually totally necessary. Now, that'll be whether it's on the world stage, and we know the problem areas that come under that kind of spotlight. And it's also going to affect your own personal lives. But remember with this energy for your own personal lives to dilute it a bit. Because when I'm talking about it with regard to the planet, this is kind of like major kind of transits that are really turning up the volume on what's happening in the world, on the planet. So on a personal level, you have to tone it down. And another thing that's important to remember with an eclipse, and for that matter with a full moon, is that unless it's making particularly accurate aspects to significant points in your personal natal chart, then it will just pass by without really causing too much bother. So don't get freaked out by the kind of the hype that we can get around these kind of energies. And, you know, it might be good if if you want to, why not book a session with me where we can look at your chart. If you don't know what your rising sign is, we can work that out for you. We can sort out your chart. And so you get a better understanding and a better handle on how to work with these energies in a constructive way. My website will be in the description box, but it's pennydix.com. It's ever so easy, pennydix.com. So that aside, the other thing I want to say about this energy is because Mars retrograde, that is squaring this Neptune-Jupiter, is in the part of the chart where it affects our health. I think on a very mundane level, watch that you don't kind of overextend yourself, get overtired, where you strain a muscle, you do too much. The other thing with this energy on a more collective level is there may be incidents where people get injured, quite simply. Like we all have already seen in Seoul, in South Korea. The stampede they had, which caused this terrible incident of deaths from a crush, was really courtesy of this full moon energy, because these energies don't just happen on the day that it happens. We build up to this energy, and also this energy will last. Now, eclipse energy in particular can last for up to 6 months. So if you go back in your mind to May the 16th this year, we had another total eclipse in Taurus. And now Queen Elizabeth, the late Queen of the United Kingdom, was a Sun Taurus. It was fairly clear this was about some big change for her, mostly because she is a member of a kind of royal lineage, and in the olden days it was seen that eclipses always seemed to indicate the significant change to the life of a king or a queen. Now, what was even more significant about that eclipse, and remember we're 6 months on from that energy now, what was even more significant was that the now King Charles, his natal sun in Scorpio, was completely opposite that eclipse. So it was pretty clear that there were going to be huge life changes for whom we now know is King Charles. So I just say that to show you how long this eclipse energy can last, so that whatever is unfolding this week, it may set the scene or the tone for what we can expect over the coming few months. And in a sense, it's like we're not out of the woods yet. We've gone through some pretty tough times in the last 2 to 3 years for reasons that I don't need to go into. And this particular full moon is kind of heralding yet more significant change. But I think that change will become clear as time passes. And that's not only, as I say, on the world stage, but also in your individual lives. So I just want to highlight, before I finish, a few of the other interesting events that have been happening leading up to this eclipse, which I think are all part of it. One is we have the change again of leadership in the United Kingdom, and we now have Rishi Sunak, and this particular eclipse is conjunct his sun in Taurus. So for me, it was pretty clear he was going to have a massive life change, which of course has happened. Another thing that's happened, of course, was the assassination attempt of Imran Khan, the cricketer and of old days playboy and ex-Prime Minister of Pakistan. So an assassination attempt, that too, was all part of this eclipse energy. And the fact that the midterm elections in the United States happen on this day, I just find extraordinary. So let's hope that reason triumphs over passion and just kind of like, you know, what we need is some common sense. So let's hope that in America at least, everybody operates within the realms of common sense and common decency on the 8th of November. Time will tell, but in the meantime, I just want to say thank you so much for coming to watch this live video stream on Facebook. This will be up on Gozo in the House's channel, and I'd just like to say thank you again to Gozo in the House for hosting these wonderful full moon events. And hey, guess what? They have been nominated to win an award. So they are in this nomination to win an award for Best Travel Guide. I might not have got all the words exactly right, but they know what it is. They have really been recognized, and I do believe that for them is this full moon eclipse. Whether they win or not, the fact that they've been noticed is part of that Uranus full moon energy. And that's super cool for them because they do an amazing job. So, you know, Gozo, I think, can be really grateful to the team at Gozo in the House, especially Andrea Britton, who I'm eternally grateful for, which she keeps saying to me, oh, stop it, don't keep saying that. But I am, because she's helped me get where I am today. And so I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Gozo in the House. Please remember to hop over to my YouTube channel to see the long, in-depth version of the full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. And whilst you're there, I'd love it if you could subscribe. I'd quite like to get to that 2K figure by Christmas if you could help me. I'm nearly there, I'm nearly up to 1,500, so not much more to go. Okay, thanks so much for joining me, and please take care, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.